Hi everybody, happy May. So does anyone know what we celebrate in May? We celebrate my birthday, but that's not the most important thing. In May, we also celebrate something called Asian Heritage Month. So that's when we celebrate people whose background is from a country in Asia, maybe China or Japan or Thailand or India, a lot of different countries. The one I picked today is a country called Thailand. And I am going to read you a true story of something that happened about 3 years ago in Thailand, a true story. And this book is called Titan and the Wild Boars, the true cave rescue of the Thai soccer team. And it is written by Susan Hood and Pathana Sorhirnan, and it's illustrated by Dow Pumarik. So there we go, Titan and the Wild Boars. So you may be too young to remember when it actually happened, but it was only 3 years ago. So I bet if you ask somebody in your house if they remember when a soccer team of boys was rescued from a cave in Thailand, I bet they will remember because it made news all over the world. So this is a picture book that celebrates what happened when this group of boys, a soccer team, got stuck and trapped in a cave. Are we ready? And this book is in the library, so if you ever want to check it out of the library, you'll see there are all sorts of diagrams in here that show you diagrams of inside the cave. And these are beautiful watercolor illustrations in this book, so I will try and hold the pages up to the screen so you get to see. Like his friends in Mae Sai and many kids in Thailand, 11-year-old Chanin grew up obsessed with soccer. He started playing at age 6 and joined the Wild Boars team a couple of years later. Chanin's family nicknamed him Titan after the powerful giants of Greek mythology. Little Titan may not have measured up in height, but like these gods, he was known for his strength. "He is small, but very tough," said his aunt. His coach said he plays like a boy age 14. Whenever he gets knocked down, he just jumps up straight away. So there are these boys on a soccer team called the Wild Boars in a country called Thailand. At first, Titan didn't even own soccer shoes. He played in a friend's hand-me-downs, wrapped together in duct tape. He saved 300 baht from his pocket money to buy his own. So that word baht, B-A-H-T, that's the money. They don't have dollars in Thailand, they have baht. There he is with his shoes taped with duct tape. As one of the youngest members of the Wild Boars soccer team, Titan tried hard to play striker. Riding his bike for miles on rugged mountain roads in Thailand's steamy heat was just part of the drill. So a lot of them, their families didn't have cars to drive them to soccer practice, so they would ride their bikes for miles just to get to their soccer practice. So here we go. Now we're going to go through the timeline. Day 1. One Saturday after soccer practice, Titan, his friends, and Coach Eck rode their bikes to explore a favorite cave 6 miles away. They dropped their bikes, ignoring the sign outside the cave that warned visitors not to enter during the monsoon season starting in July. It was still June after all, and a few of them had been there before. This hidden city within the cave excited the boys, eager for adventure, and the cool, dark, secret passages beckoned. So there's a cave, and legend had it that there's a hidden city somewhere in the cave, so people always like to go exploring. And monsoon season is when it's really, really rainy and it's not safe to go in the caves. So, but they ignore the sign because monsoon season is July and this is end of June. Titan and his friends ventured deep into the cave, sloshing through muddy water, rounding dripping stalactites and jagged stalagmites, squeezing through tight passages. Little did they know that outside it had begun to rain hard. So there they are with the stalagmites and the stalactites. Do you know which is which? Stalactites hang down and stalagmites grow up. I always remember that because stalactites, I imagine like a little pair of tights hanging from a washing line. When the boys turned to go home, water was streaming down the porous limestone walls of the cave and bubbling up from the ground, flooding the tunnel back to the entrance. The boys asked their coach, "How are we going to get out of here?" "Don't be scared," said Coach Eck. "Someone will come and find us." He led the boys deeper into the cave to a ledge where they could rest until morning. Surely the water level would drop by then. That night, worried parents reported their sons missing. So there they are. They went into the cave through a tunnel, but then it rained so much that the tunnel flooded and now they can't get out. They're stuck. So the cool thing the author of this book does is that she mixes in some poems along with the description. So here's a poem that she includes to describe how it felt on day one. Trapped. Stone cold water, whirling, swirling, sounds of falls echoed off the walls, smells of mud, sweat, fear, dark humid air closed in like the jagged rocks above and below. Hunger, pains, endless rains poured down, down, down underground. The boys raised prayers to Buddha, to Christ, to Jiao Mei Nang Non, spirit of the mountain. Coach said, "Be still, turn off your torches." One by one, the lights switched off and someone started to cry. A torch is just a flashlight. That's what they call flashlights in some countries. Okay, now we're on days 2 to 5. News of Titan and the trapped boys traveled far and fast. Over the next few days, thousands of soldiers, park rangers, engineers, geologists, doctors, divers, officials, and other volunteers poured in to help, including the Roy Thai Navy SEALs and expert cave divers from around the world. So, and then here we have all these little labels showing the different places in the cave where people would help. So this one here says, park rangers searched the mountaintop for backdoor shafts where they could drop survival boxes of food, maps, and mobile phones, or where rescuers could rappel down. Sniffer dogs, drones, and robots searched for another way in and another way out. Workers installed massive pumps to try to drain the water from the cave. Inside the cave, time inched along, day after day after day. Morning was as black as night. It was difficult to sleep perched on the rocky ledge. Titan tried not to think about food, knowing it would only make him hungrier, but one of the boys cried out for rice porridge in his sleep. Coach Eck urged Titan and his friends to drink the clean water dripping down from the stalactites, and he taught them to meditate to conserve energy. When they were not resting, the teammates took turns digging to try to find a way out. As the days passed, Titan grew dizzy, his strength sapping away. He had watched the World Cup with his dad on their last night together. Now he knew his parents and 5-year-old brother Toto would be worrying about him. Would anyone ever find them? Coach Eck glanced at him and gave him a hug. There we are. There they are waiting. There's a quote here from the Buddha. When watching after others, you watch after yourself. So they're drinking water that's dripping off the stalactites, but they have no food. Days 5 to 9. Whoa, days 5 to 9, they're still in there. Outside, the experts had never faced such a complicated and dangerous rescue operation. As the monsoon rains drummed down, the divers crouched, crawled, and swam, fighting mudslides and whirlpools, feeling their way along the flooded pitch-black tunnels. The cold made their teeth chatter when they were able to surface in an air pocket. Divers scaled boulders the size of a house and slid down rock cliffs. The current was so strong it could knock divers' masks from their faces. Silt stirred up in the water made flashlights nearly useless. So there are these divers who came from all over the world. Some of the best scuba divers in the world, they're diving in the cave, trying to find where the boys might be. Day after day, they worked to thread guide ropes through the tunnels and position replacement air tanks along the route. Divers spotted the boys' handprints on a wall past the T-junction. They had gone this way. There we go. Can you see the boys' handprints that they found? That was a lucky sign. Narrow passages in the rocks, one only 15 inches high, obstructed progress. The divers could not fit through with their air tanks. Hours went by, and each time the tanks ran low, the divers couldn't just surface to breathe. They were forced to turn back. Where could the boys be? The divers wondered. How would they find them? And after so many days without food, would they even be alive? Day 10. Whoa, day 10. And here's another poem. Tedium. For the boys, time unwound. Underground in the dark, hours and days replayed in endless digging, meditating, praying, digging, meditating, praying. There they are. Then, wait, what was that? Listen, strange voices in the dark. What were they saying? Were the boys hallucinating? Titan's friend Adul shone a light down the ledge and was stunned by what he saw. 2 divers. How many of you? Asked one of the divers, his headlamp illuminating their astonished faces. Adul could barely speak. The diver was not from Thailand, and he was speaking English. As one of the few boys who understood English, Adul answered, 13. Brilliant, said the diver. Many people are coming. We are the first. You have been here 10 days. You are very strong. I love that. I love that the first thing the diver says to them is, you're strong. Titan and his friends looked from one to another, frustrated that they couldn't understand what the divers were saying. Would they go home now? Did the divers have food? Eat, 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 cried one of the boys. But food would have to wait until the divers could make the long, exhausting trip out of the cave and back to them again the next day. Titan watched the divers slip under the water and disappear into the dark. So imagine that, some divers finally find them, and then they have to leave again, and they say they won't be able to make it back until the next day. Breaking news, Thai Lucky 13 found, blared the headlines about the lost and now found boys. Everyone hailed the rescuers as heroes and thanked all the gods in heaven for the boys' safety. But a bigger problem loomed. None of the boys knew how to scuba dive, and they were terribly weak after 10 days in the cave without food. How would they get out? Divers hurried back to the boys the next day, bringing high-protein gels similar to what astronauts eat, antibiotics for their small cuts and scrapes, electrolyte drinks, and foil warming blankets. So this is days 11 to 12. 4 Thai Navy SEALs volunteered to stay with them. One stripped off most of his wet clothes to cover the muddy ground for the kids and walked around in his underwear, making Titan laugh. The boys and the Navy SEALs used stones to play checkers. They ate together and slept side by side on the rocky ledge. Together in the cave, they became a family. So Thailand has Navy SEALs, just like our country has Navy SEALs. One diver offered the boys waterproof paper to send notes to their parents waiting outside the cave. So the parents saved these notes, so we know exactly what the notes say. So these notes, obviously these notes are written in English. The boys didn't write them in English, but they were translated for the book. Titan wrote, Dad and Mum, don't worry about me. I'm fine. Tell Yod to get ready to take me to eat fried chicken. Love you. And then another boy wrote, Dear Auntie and Granny, I'm doing well. Don't worry about me too much. Please take care of yourselves. Auntie, can you please tell Granny to prepare vegetable juice and pork crackers? I'll eat them when I get out. Love you all. Coach Eck, the boy's coach, wrote to his relative, and he apologized to the boy's parents. He said, To all parents, now the kids are fine, and I promise I will take care of the kids as best as I can. Thank you for all your support. Please accept my apology. And the parents wrote back. None of them blamed the boys or the coach, but they urged them to stay strong. So remember, the boys, they've been found now, but now the problem is, how are they going to get them out of the cave? So that's why the parents are writing them letters to kind of help them stay strong. So this is what Titan's mom wrote to him. My dear Titan, Mummy is waiting for you outside the cave. Mummy loves you and misses you so much. You have to be patient and fight. You have to be strong. I'm waiting for you just outside. You have to make it. I believe you can do it. You'll always have Mummy's support. I love you so much. Daddy also misses you dearly and loves you with all his heart. And then the parents wrote a letter to the coach too. They said, Dear Coach Eck, we parents would like to ask you to look after our children. Don't blame yourself. We want you to rest assured none of us feels angry with you. We all understand and support you. Thank you for looking after our children. Coach, you've gone in there with them. Come out with them too. And do it safely. Day 13. Wow, it's almost 2 weeks. Meanwhile, machines were working overtime in the cave to pump the water out. Hundreds of rescuers were threading more guide ropes into the tunnels, along with 3-mile-long cables to set up video communications between the boys and their parents. Expert divers delivered extra air tanks to have ready along the route. Day 14. Day 14, there's still nobody's out. Petty Officer First Class Saman Kunan, a 38-year-old former Thai Navy SEAL diver and volunteer, had delivered his tank and was heading back. On his way out, his breathing mouthpiece came off by accident and he couldn't find it in the dark. His diving partner tried to help, but Saman fell unconscious. Saman died. The tragic news slammed the waiting world, sinking morale to alarming depths. If a triathlete and highly trained diver like Saman could die in the cave, what chance would the young coach and 12 half-starved boys have to escape? So there's a picture of the diver who died. Day 15, more than 2 weeks in there. New weather forecasts were foreboding. Even more rain was expected. If the water levels rose, filling the cave, the boys could drown. Even now, the oxygen levels inside the cave had dropped from the usual 21% to 15%. The rescue commander announced that Sunday, July 8th was D-Day. They had no choice. Titan and the boys had to get out. Now. So as the water level is rising, one of the risks is that the boys could drown. The other risk is that there's less and less oxygen in the cave. And if there's not enough oxygen, then they can't survive either. The world held its breath. Schoolmates sang and prayed for their friends. Some folded origami cranes, symbols of luck and long life. Hopes and prayers from around the globe winged their way to the cave. Have you ever seen an origami crane before? So the crane is a bird that's considered to bring good luck in a lot of countries in Asia. So a lot of times people will make cranes out of origami as a way of wishing good luck. So that's going to be your assignment this week. You're going to try and learn how to make one of those origami cranes. Day 16, D-Day. It was time. Australian doctor Richard Harris dove into the cave to prep the boys for their escape. Given their lack of scuba diving experience, the doctor explained, a team of 13 international divers would guide them out. Who would go first? The strongest? The weakest? The boys decided as a team. Coach Eck had a suggestion. The boys who lived farthest away from the caves should go first because they would have the longest bike ride back home. Little did they know that thousands of people were waiting outside to welcome them and help them get back home. 4 boys volunteered. Titan waited and watched as they were given sedatives to keep them calm and fitted with full face masks. One by one, they were whisked off into the dark. Would he ever see them again? Titan wondered. News of day 17. News of success reached Titan and the other boys when the divers returned on Monday, the following day. 4 boys were out. The divers prepped 4 more volunteers to leave. Titan crouched with his coach. He would wait until Tuesday. But would the divers be too tired by then? So what they did to get the boys out, because they knew that the boys wouldn't be able to dive on their own, this doctor gave them sedatives, which is a kind of drug that put them to sleep. So they kind of fell asleep, and then they put these masks on them and guided them out because they knew they were too young and too weak and too inexperienced. None of them had ever been diving before. So that's how they got them out. And they could only get out 4 boys a day. Day 18. Tuesday dawned with news of a second success. Now 8 boys were safe. Now it was Titan's turn. Like his friends, Titan was dressed in a wetsuit and life jacket with an air cylinder and harness. The doctor gave him a sedative and he fell asleep with a full face mask providing oxygen. There they are, getting fitted. Following a guide rope bolted into the rocks, one of the best divers in the world guided Titan through the black tunnels, dark as deep space. He swam with Titan's head close to his own so he could feel the boy's air bubbles and know when he was still breathing. Up and down, under and through they went. The diver navigated steep hills and tight passages, feeling his way along. He occasionally smacked his head on the rocks in the pitch black. When the 2 emerged from the underwater tunnels, additional rescuers strapped Titan in a flexible plastic stretcher called a sked. They carried him over rocky ground and even used a rope and pulley system to zip the sked across steep valleys. Titan was still asleep when the rescuers delivered him to the military and other workers who triumphantly carried him out of the cave. They were greeted by tears and cheers from the anxious crowds waiting outside. The joyful news of another successful rescue raced around the world. Hoo-yah! In the hospital, Titan was reunited with his friends. All 12 boys and their coach were safe. Titan burst into tears when he saw his parents through the glass partition. Happy tears. What many had called mission impossible was now mission accomplished, the Thai Navy SEAL said. We are not sure if this is a miracle, a science, or what. Miracle, science, patience, expertise, luck, sacrifice. But most of all, teamwork. And here's a poem about teamwork. Titan and the wild boars played together, strayed together, braved together, caved together, humbled together, crumbled together, stayed together, prayed together, dug together, hugged together, kneeled together, healed together. Titan and the wild boars brought the world together as one team, with loving kindness sparking a light in the dark for us all. And there we go. Can you see there's a picture of the real boys? And if you go onto YouTube and you search for Thai cave rescue or Thai soccer team cave rescue, you'll find there's a ton of really great videos where you can see the real boys from this story. And I will post some of those for you too, if you want to check them out. All right, I know this was a long story, but I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for listening.